Okay. So have you ever felt like, I don't know, like you're just bombarded with all this good vibes only
Yeah.
advice, but like deep down, it's not really clicking,
Yeah.
you know? Like, how do we actually get to that genuine feeling good place that's like the key to manifesting all the good stuff?
Right.
So today, we're diving deep into Abraham Hicks, and we're
Yeah.
really going to unpack this whole thing.
It is fascinating because I think what Abraham Hicks does that's so interesting is it goes beyond just this like surface level, be positive.
Right.
It offers like a framework and a mechanics for understanding
Yes.
how our energy and thoughts and emotions all play a part.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
no more like, slapping the smile on your face and
Yeah.
hoping for the best.
Yeah.
We're talking about really aligning with our truest desires
Yeah.
on a like vibrational level.
Yeah.
But where do we even begin?
Right. Well, one of the most interesting things I think that Abraham Hicks talks about is this idea of emotions as a guidance system.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, think of it this way. When you are feeling good, that's your internal GPS being like, you're on the right path, you're good, keep going.
Oh, wow.
When we feel frustrated, when we feel down, when we feel stuck, that's the GPS being like, wrong way, wrong way. You know, recalibrate.
So it's not just like these random things that we feel. They're actually giving us information.
Absolutely. And once you tap into that, it becomes very empowering because it's not just these emotions that are happening to us. It's like, oh, I can actually decipher what this means. This is literally like you've been given a map now.
Okay, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
But what about those times? Because, life happens.
Yeah.
And we're going to experience those curveballs, those not so fun things. So how does Abraham Hicks explain that, and how do we navigate it without like completely spiraling?
Yeah, they talk about contrast a lot.
Okay.
And they actually say that contrast is a really important part of manifesting, which is interesting.
Okay.
Because they're saying that sometimes when we're experiencing something in our life that we don't want and we don't like, it helps us clarify the things that we do want even more.
Oh, so we can actually use those like setbacks as almost like information to really hone in on what we do want.
Exactly. So like, think about if you go to a restaurant and you order something and it's way too salty.
Yeah.
You don't stop eating forever, right? You're like, okay, well, I know now that I don't like as much salt. Maybe I'll try something else.
Right. It gives you more information.
Exactly. So those contrast experiences are actually there to help us like, really hone in on the things that we do want.
That's such a good analogy. So they're like feedback. They're not necessarily a bad thing.
Absolutely not. And this is actually where the feeling good part comes in.
Okay. So tell me more about how feeling good ties into all of this.
Yeah. So they say that every thought that we think carries a vibration.
Okay.
And those vibrations act like magnets. So if we are in a space of feeling good and joyful and in alignment,
we will actually attract and manifest more of those experiences.
So it's not just about like feeling good for the sake of feeling good.
No.
It actually has this power to shape our world.
Absolutely. Like, if you think about a radio dial, right, you want to listen to jazz music, you're not going to tune into the pop station. Right. You're going to tune into the station that's actually playing the music that you want to listen to.
That makes so much sense. So we're like fine-tuning our energy to match the frequency of what we want.
Yes.
Okay, but how do we actually do that? How do we go from, say, a place of like frustration or doubt to a higher vibration?
Right. And this is where I think, the rubber meets the road with a lot of Abraham Hicks teachings, because they give you very specific tools and techniques.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things that they talk about is appreciation. And I think that's where appreciation comes in, because when we are appreciating something, what we're doing is we are shifting our energy from a place of lack to a place of abundance.
Okay.
And it's like we're sending this signal out to the universe being like, hey, more of this, more of this.
So it's not even just about feeling grateful for what we have. It's about cultivating that energy to like almost attract more.
Exactly. And the thing is, too, we don't have to wait for these big things to appreciate. It can literally be like, oh my God, it's such a beautiful sunny day out today. I'm so grateful that, my coffee this morning was delicious.
Yeah.
Like these little things can make such a big difference.
I love that. It's about like those everyday moments and just,
Exactly. And you'll find that the more you practice appreciating those little things, the more you start to notice things to appreciate.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like you're really training your brain to look for the good, which then creates the snowball effect. It's like what you focus on expands, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And this is actually where they talk about momentum a lot, which I think is so fascinating. They say that our thoughts and feelings gain momentum.
Okay.
So the more we are thinking about something, whether it's good or bad, the more we're going to see it show up in our life.
So if we're constantly thinking about like what's wrong, we're actually like putting energy towards that.
Exactly, exactly. But the good news is the same is true for the positive. So if we are consciously choosing to focus on the things that we like,
oh, wow,
we actually start to build momentum in that direction.
So it's like we're choosing what snowball we're going to roll.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, it starts small. At first, it's going to take some effort, but over time, it just keeps going and going.
So how do we like interrupt those negative thought spirals and kind of like redirect our energy in a way?
Well, this is where some of their tools and techniques come in. Have you ever heard of a rampage of appreciation?
I have heard of that, yes.
Okay, so I love a good rampage of appreciation.
Tell me more. So essentially what it is it's setting aside, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you want, and literally just listing everything that you can think of that you appreciate. And I mean everything, like from, I'm so grateful for this roof over my head, to I'm so grateful for the way that my coffee tasted this morning, to, I'm so grateful for this person in my life. It's really about like tapping into all of it.
It's like a gratitude list,
yes,
but like on steroids.
Exactly. Exactly. And the thing is, as you're doing it too, it's not just about like listing them in your head. It's about like really feeling the appreciation as you're saying it.
Okay.
Because the more you can amplify that feeling, the more of a vibrational shift you're going to have.
And as we shift that vibration, then we can start to actually attract those experiences that match that.
Yes. And I think, it's important to remember with all of this too, that we're all human, right?
Right.
We're going to have those moments of contrast. We're going to have those times where we feel frustrated, we feel down, we feel off.
Right. But it's about not judging ourselves for those emotions.
Okay.
Remembering that they're just signals, they're just guideposts to help us come back.
It's all part of the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, this is where the self-compassion piece is so important too.
So self-compassion is key.
Absolutely. Because, when we can approach ourselves with kindness and understanding, it makes it so much easier to move through those more challenging emotions.
This is all so insightful. So, I mean, we've talked about, emotions being guidance and contrast being a form of clarification and appreciation as a tool and self-compassion.
Yeah.
I feel like we've covered so much.
We have.
As we're kind of like wrapping up here, is there anything else that you want to leave our listeners with? Like any final thoughts?
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest takeaway from all of this from Abraham Hicks is this reminder that we're not just along for the ride,
Yeah.
We're actually creating our reality.
Mm-hmm. We have the power to choose our thoughts, our feelings,
right,
and ultimately shape our experiences.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it, but I imagine it could also feel kind of overwhelming.
Totally.
Especially if you're new to all of this.
Oh, 100%. It's like learning anything,
Yeah.
It takes practice and patience and self-love. And you know what? You don't have to do it all at once either.
Yeah, that's good to remember.
Yeah.
So for someone listening who's okay, this all sounds good, but where do I even begin? What's a good starting point?
I always say, start with awareness. Just begin to become aware of, what are the thoughts that you're thinking throughout the day? How do you feel in certain situations around certain people when you're doing certain things?
So tuning into that internal guidance system that we were talking about.
Exactly. Exactly. And as you become more aware of, what's happening in your inner world, you can start to make those little subtle shifts.
Okay.
You catch yourself thinking a negative thought and you're like, you know what? I'm going to think about something I appreciate instead.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? I notice that when I spend time in nature, I feel really good. Okay, well, maybe incorporate more of that into your life.
So it's those small but conscious choices.
Exactly. Exactly. And they make such a big difference. And remember that rampage of appreciation we were talking about?
Yeah.
Such a good tool to just shift your energy right away.
I love that.
Even if it's 5 minutes, it's powerful.
Okay, so start small, be consistent.
Yes.
And celebrate the little wins.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect. It's just about moving in the right direction. It's a journey, not a destination.
This has been so good. I feel like I have like a toolkit now, which is amazing. Thank you so much for this. This is great.
Of course. And just remember, you have the power within you to create a life that you love.
Yes.
So trust yourself, trust the process.
So good.
And never underestimate the power of feeling good.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for diving deep with us.
Thank you.
Until next time, keep those vibes high.